Now, what do you make of the spectacular row between President Trump and Elon Musk? Who would you back? 0207-862-2222. The bust-up between the leader of the free world and the man who is the richest in the world has been playing out publicly over social media. And we're asking whether it's possible to just hoot with laughter or whether it's actually much more serious than that. I'll show you the background. It's very important to see this. I mean, it does remind us that politics at the highest level is properly gladiatorial. There is the Colosseum, right, where the battle is taking place. Zoom in and see our gladiators here. There we are, the president and the tycoon, the most powerful and the richest. And they fell out over one particular thing, which Trump called the big, beautiful bill. And I'm going to explain. In fact, now it's become not the bill, but the big, beautiful bust-up. Oh. That's what's happened. And we'll just explain exactly why this bill caused a bust-up, because it's important that we should remember the details. So these are the senators who voted in favour of it. It went through with quite close vote. And the non-partisan budget office said it would decrease federal revenues by a lot and essentially increase the debt to $36 trillion. At that point, Musk went crazy. Massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on you for voting for it. He says this is going to grow the deficit by $5 trillion. Obviously, Trump is not impressed with that. There is an analysis, by the way, that says that they are cutting spending to some of the poorest Americans, leaving many without health insurance. So big spending cuts, even bigger tax cuts. The deficit will increase. Musk goes mad about it. Then we get to the Colosseum, and then the argument starts. And Musk is obviously on his way out, but Trump doesn't appreciate the attack. So he says to reporters, look, Musk knew every aspect of this bill. Musk said, no, I didn't. He went on to claim that without him, Trump would have lost the election and said this was ingratitude. The president then says, we're going to terminate your subsidies and cancel the Dragon spacecraft. Musk says, I'm going to cancel it anyway. He then says J.D. Vance should be president. And Musk says the reason the Trump administration hasn't released the Epstein files is because there's stuff in there that links Trump to that horrible paedophile. Of course, that's going to be unforgivable from Trump's point of view. So you then get Trump's allies wading in. Steve Bannon yesterday saying we now need to look at deporting Elon Musk, who, of course, arrived on an expired visa many, many years ago from South Africa. At this point, Musk is maybe thinking, I'm going to retire from the fray because, crucially, his Tesla shares crash by 15%. So we've got the Dragon spacecraft, we've got Tesla involved, we've got Epstein, and these two extraordinary men. And that's the row, summed up. So it starts with the big, beautiful bill. I mean, it's so interesting, Nick, isn't it?
I think, well, it's fascinating. I mean, on so many different levels. I mean, first of all, to have two men, the richest man and the most powerful man in the world, behaving like school kids, and you wonder how on earth we got to this state. I mean, as far as Musk is concerned, he should have stuck to business and not got involved in politics. This is costing him billions and billions and billions. And what's interesting, it shines a light on American politics, doesn't it? You know, Trump has underwritten...
I'm just interrupting to say, when they were together here in the Oval Office, you got the president in a suit and tie. Even Trump observes that protocol. Musk wanders in, stands above him, wearing a baseball cap.
And a black eye.
He had a black eye as well. I don't know, Nick, it did look very badly mismatched.
Yeah, disrespectful. The seeds were sown.
Yeah, he's got a MAGA hat, he says, and yeah.
But what it shows is, you know, you underwrite my campaign, so Musk has underwritten the election campaign, and in return I'll give you, to the tune of $250 million. I'll get you in, and in return, you give me billions of pounds of government contract. There's a huge conflict of interest.
Well,
no one seems troubled by that.
The thing about corruption is it's usually hidden. If this is corruption, it's out in the open.
And yet this will not affect the Republican Party, and yet people will still love Trump, and yet the person who loses in this is Elon Musk, fair and square. I'm not a Trump fan. I don't know if anyone knows that. I'm not a massive Trump fan.
We know it.
Based on what this feud is, by the way, if the viewers today, if you're watching this and you're like, huh, what? Well, this happened over about 4 hours last night, so you'd be forgiven.
It's still going, yeah.
You'd be forgiven for not having, only because they fell asleep.
Well, they're asleep now, but they'll get up soon, they'll start again.
Based on this exchange alone, we all know that essentially Team Musk has made a big loss here, not only in terms of the stocks. By the way, it's the average shareholder that's going to pay the price of Musk. This isn't about, I couldn't give anything for Mr. Musk's worth, but it's the average shareholders of Tesla, of SpaceX, of his various other companies that are going to bear the brunt of this man's
But it'll come back. That'll come back. That'll come back.
You think Tesla's going to come back?
Yeah, I think so.
Isn't this going to damage Trump's credibility and his integrity with the American electorate?
No.
I think it will.
No,
I think this is so huge that,
What, the Epstein thing?
Musk was chosen to slash expenses, and we're hearing now that the expenditure is rising to levels which are just, you can't even get your head around.
The Republican Party faithfuls will not be fazed by this. Hegseth, Miller, you mentioned Bannon, there's loads of other people, Kash, Patel, all of these people within his party are not going to be fazed.
Is it okay to laugh at, to say this is a hoot?
It's so sad I can't laugh.
You don't think it's funny?
I can't laugh.
Do you think it's funny?
I think it's really dangerous. I think on the world stage, I think China, Russia, countries of such like will be looking and thinking they're imploding.
They'll love
Fantastic.
it. They'll love it.
They're concentrating on their money.
Yeah. If you're China,
their power, their ego.
At some point, China will go into Taiwan, won't it? And I'm wondering whether they're going to choose a moment like this, actually, when Trump is too busy having some sort of local argument.
And his ego is bruised. So what I think is happening at this particular point, places like China and the Chinese government, Russia and the Russian government, will wait for a moment when his ego's bruised, when he doesn't have the following that he's supposed to have. And the world is looking at this. All the leaders. Can you imagine being the Narendra Modi or being, Macron, waking up to this? You'd be like, absolutely no credibility whatsoever.
You see, I've got some sympathy with Musk here, because Musk has set this job of Doge, which to make massive cuts, and he didn't. I mean, he took to it with some enthusiasm, as we can see. He didn't.
But that was his point. That was the point.
Yeah. He did some extraordinary cuts, and they went down very bad. He cut veterans' organisations. He cut park rangers in Yellowstone to the point where it had to close, and so on. And then he sees a spending bill which wipes out everything he's done. And then when he complains about it, Trump says, well, you should have cut your own space program. So you can see how nasty it is.
Jeremy, how could you possibly have sympathy for a man that allowed this bill to become an act? So now it's got this stupid name of the Big Beautiful Bill
I'm saying
Act.
Sympathy with Musk.
But you shouldn't, because he knew this was in the pipelines. And if he didn't, maybe,
No, I don't think he's got. Look, you've got to understand that Musk is, as by his own account, neurodivergent. He may not even remember what he was doing yesterday.
There are accusations
he's also
in the New York Times of him being severely impaired in his duties by ketamine, by other Adderall and other tablets people have seen on him. So whether he's compos mentis is up for debate. That's not the point. You were making this point now that you've left. It's a very,
I
your
think he's been
sympathy's
stitched up.
misaligned.
I mean, he doesn't like the bill, and no one told him about it.
Why didn't they tell him before it became an act?
He was recruited because he was a businessman. That's why they
So it was good for him, and now that
it was good for America. It was good for America. And what's happened is Trump has completely overridden him and said, right, I know you were going to do cuts, but actually I'm going to increase expenditure to ridiculous levels. And he didn't know, and he's upset.
But
what Trump has, the big beautiful bill, we're going to mention Truss later, so we won't get into too much Liz Truss. But the big beautiful bill is a kind of Trump version of what Trump did. Truss did. Truss Trump. So it's swinging tax cuts on the best paid, and obviously and then a lot of it paid for by removing benefits from the lowest paid.
Yes.
So Musk has not complained about that, strangely.
No, exactly. But he's done it after it went and benefited him directly.
Yeah. I just don't think Musk is as rational as you think he is. I think he's. Well, yeah, but he's the richest man in the world. Okay, Mike is in Edinburgh. Are we allowed to laugh, Mike? Because it's an absolute pantomime.
Of course you are, my man. Yes. I know, I see that you're not on Trump's side, but I'll be honest with you, I think that guy, Elon Musk, got too big for his boots now. You know what I'm saying? Honestly.
Well, listen, on this show, I don't mean to in any way blow my own trumpet, but on 2 or 3 occasions in November, December, I said Musk will be. I said Musk will be gone within 6 months. Sorry, I was trying to get to the end of the sentence. Okay.
Not if you're of the same party or whatever it is. You know, you don't do things like that. You know, I don't know why he did that.
Why did what?
Dirk against Trumpy. He's saying that he was friends with that paedophile guy.
All I was going to say, Mike, just for a second, just let me say this, is on 2 or 3 occasions I did say I'll give it 6 months, because those two beasts are so big they can't be in the same room. You know that.
I'm not trying to overslog you, but I said when the bromance started, 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
2 weeks.
We were probably talking to each other.
Their egos are so huge.
Yeah.
His contract was
Also,
for
I
120
think when you look
days.
at the body language there, Trump genuinely doesn't get people who dress like that. You remember when he was so mean to Zelensky and said, "So you come in your costume?" And then Vance says, "Why aren't you dressed properly? Why don't you own a suit?" And, people said, "Well, hang on a minute, you put up with Musk." But he didn't put up with Musk. That's the thing. He wanted him out.
He's got old-fashioned ideals. He's got decorum in certain respects and not in others.
Why not? I think if I was president of the US, A, I'd wear a tie, and B, I'd want people around me to wear one.
Expect it.
I think so.
Absolutely.
Mike, anything more to say, my friend?
Look at the guy that's the president of Ukraine. He looks totally out of order. He never wears a suit. He's just casual jumper and trousers.
We're talking about Keir Starmer here.
Ukraine.
Oh, Ukraine. Sorry, I thought you said UK.
Zelensky.
I'm so sorry. Zelensky, yeah. But hang on, he's in a war, Mike.
But he's an amazing leader.
He's not in the war. He's just the president.
Oh, that's harsh.
Oh, my goodness.
Because look at Churchill used to sometimes wear army clothes during the Second World War.
No, but, when you see him compared to all the people that are, heads of their countries, it looks ridiculous.
Okay, Mike, interesting. Well, there we are.
Can I say for the record, I think he's doing an amazing job in Ukraine. Incredible.
Well, he's had 6 attempts on his life already, and he never left the country during the early part. Yeah, I think we allow him to not put a suit on.
Yeah.
I always think that's a really... Do you remember that reporter stood up and said, "Can you tell me why you don't wear a suit?" I think you're like, man,
It's just...
what a thing to ask. Later is the papers and everything else. Find out why the Conservatives are disowning Liz Truss's mini budget.